Right. I just don't want to be continually flashing on and off the screen and distracting people. So I think I'll just go dark.
And Tony, your camera is not working as well?
Yes. So yeah, my camera went down about a week and a half ago, and I went and bought a outside one to attach, and I'm not tech savvy, and IT does not respond to Livermore. So I apologize, but I will be joining you by nicely grafted photograph.
Right. Not a problem at all.
Why don't you go ahead and get us started, Han?
Okay. Well, good evening and welcome to Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Commission. This is a regular meeting, Thursday, January 20th, 2022. Our meeting is held via teleconference and Zoom webinar. You may watch the commission meeting without providing public comment by accessing it via Facebook, YouTube, or web streaming. And public comments instruction, we have provided, well, these comments will be provided live during the meeting by first registering for Zoom meeting in advance by providing an email address and a name. A link will be sent to you to join the commission meeting in order to give comments. All registered meeting attendees who wish to speak must click on the raise hand icon when the chair calls for the public comments. If participating by calling in, dial *9 to use the raise hand feature. And when called upon, hit *6 to unmute your phone. Your phone number will be displayed in the live meeting, and staff will call the speaker to begin. All comments provided shall be limited to 3 minutes or less. All members of the public will be limited to 1 comment per agenda item and 1 comment for non-agenda items. The online written comment form previously used is no longer be available for public comment. And at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Vice Chair, Mr. Ellis, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I indeed will do that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Tony, would you help me in roll call?
Yes, sorry, I was muted there. I always add to the chorus of us trying to do the Pledge of Allegiance together. Hang on one moment. Let me pull up the attendance roster and I will call off everybody, please, and just announce here or present as I go through attendance. I have Commissioner Berryhill.
Here.
Commissioner Clendenin.
Here.
Commissioner Ellis.
Here.
Commissioner Gann.
Here.
Commissioner Lien.
Here.
Commissioner Nakaplau.
Here.
Commissioner Nichols.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Liu.
Here.
And alternate Commissioner Ruby Khan.
Present.
Really quickly before we move on, let me just introduce Ruby to everyone. We kind of did some informal introductions. Ruby is actually an intern of mine from 4 years ago. I can't believe I've sat in this position for 4 years, much less had an intern 4 years ago. But Ruby is one of our interns that had come to us 4 years ago and did some work with the Office of Emergency Management, helped out with the CERT program, helped out with some policies that we had worked on. She was a huge help to my office, and she went off to college and left me, but she circled back, and I'm super happy to have her back. It's great to have a familiar face and somebody that was so engaged in the work that this office does and now the commission does. So I wanted everyone to welcome Ruby to the commission.
Welcome, Ruby.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, and we're moving on to item 4, sitting alternates.
We will not be seating alternates tonight. It looks like we do have our 7 primary commissioners on, so we won't be seating alternates. So Ruby and Andrew, if won't be voting on anything. but they are present for the attendance of the meeting.
Okay, and I just saw Councilmember Dominguez just logged on. Welcome. Okay, moving on to item 5. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Who gave me the first? Joe?
Joe.
Yes.
Joe was first. Okay, I thought it was Dawn's voice at first. Okay, Joe, and then Dawn is a second. Very good. Thank you.
Do you want a roll call vote or should I?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Nichols,
Yay.
Commissioner Berryhill,
Yes.
Vice Chair Ellis,
Yes.
Commissioner Liu,
Yes.
Commissioner Clendenin,
Yes.
Commissioner Gann. Oh, Evan, I got you muted. Are you making a motion, or excuse me, are you in agreement?
I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Nakaplau on the phone.
Yes.
Commissioner Khan
Yes.
and Chair Han Lin.
Yes,
Okay, I think I got everybody.
great. Thank you. And now I need the motion to approve the meeting minutes for November 18, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so I will have down, because Ruby was not in attendance at the time. Everybody else was in attendance, correct?
All right.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna put abstention for Ruby, and then I will go through roll call for everybody else. Commissioner Nichols,
Yes.
Commissioner Berryhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakaplau,
Yes.
Commissioner Liu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gann,
Yes.
Commissioner Clendenin,
Yes.
and Chair Han Lin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Tony. All right, moving on to item 7, public forum. Those interested are invited to address the commission on any subject not on tonight's agenda. And speakers may provide their name and the city of residence for record. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes or less. As an item not listed on the agenda, no response is required from the city staff or the commission, and no action can be taken. So I'm moving on to number 8 on the agenda, announcements. Are there any announcements?
I do not have any announcements at this time. Does anyone else have any announcements? And this can be anything that goes on, whether it be through volunteer organizations, whatever, school districts that would pertain to the commission or commissioner attendance. Okay.
Mine is report.
I'm sorry, what was that, Hon?
I said I will give my comments at the report for the
Perfect.
district.
Okay, it appears we have no comments for public forum. I will note that.
Okay, then business items, we are now at the work plan update, and that's yours, Tony.
Okay. Okay, so moving through the work plan, a couple of you I was able to get together with this last week or two and sort of go over what our work plans assignments were, especially those that were new to us. So why don't we go ahead and report through, let me pull, you guys won't be able to see it, but I'm gonna pull the work plan up for, so I can properly go through it. Okay, so we have on, and now Ruby, we'll get you assigned onto a work plan task, so you can kind of just listen and hear what we've got going on at this time. But if you wouldn't mind, when I call on you guys, if you wouldn't mind just giving me an update, what your plan is for your work plan item, or what you've done so far, whatever status you may have to report to me. So I have Commissioner Clendenin and Commissioner Berryhill on the neighborhood-specific emergency preparedness programs, which includes Map Your Neighborhood, NeighborFest, those programs, which I know we're not back in person quite yet, but if you guys have put together a plan or discussed it, any updates on this would be appreciated.
The only thing is I had 4 shotgun because it was last minute. Hey, we're going to meet tomorrow, whatever, or the next 2 days at these different places. And you were at one of them anyway.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and this is kind of the neighborhood watch thing where the PD, this was John Muick or what's his, Seves? I'm trying to think of his name now, would show up.
Officer Mock, yeah.
Yeah, Mock, but the other one also, there was another guy. He's kind of new at doing this stuff, but anyway, we were talking, they pitched their thing on what's the issues within the neighborhoods and things like that, and watch out for this and do that sort of thing. And then I presented kind of a combination. I went through the CERT program, the mapping neighborhood, getting alert SCC, and then just being prepared for your your own self sort of thing. So that was some of the stuff that we presented at 4 different. One of them was a Zoom, but 3 of them were live.
What were the locations? So you had Zoom, we had Serrano, and then what were the other 2?
I'm trying to remember now what they were. I had to go back and look.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind just reporting this to me afterwards, it's fine.
Yeah. And I kind of did a little bit of, we'll call it updating, which I need to get to Mike Berry Hill. Some of this, kind of the talking points I was using, and also the presentation, the PowerPoint, because I went through and tweaked it to kind of better represent some of the stuff. So that's something I need to do.
Yeah, if you could share that with me, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. If no further updates, we'll move on to the next one, which is promote emergency preparedness in community and faith-based organizations. And I have Commissioner Nakaplau, who's on the phone, and Commissioner Nichols.
So Tony, what I've done is I've reached out to 2 groups that we had on a list, and this list was from about a year ago. And unfortunately I haven't heard anything back. What I'm and I will touch bases with on the program, but what I'd like to maybe try to do is contact maybe 1 or 2 organizations that seem to be ready to go as far as wanting to move forward. I know that everybody's kind of in a holding pattern right now, and people have different priorities and everything. But and please feel free to comment if this is something that you think would be good. I would like to get maybe 1 or 2 organizations done this year, but I'd like to reach out to people that are kind of ready to go, because what I've found is that a lot of people just kind of, and I'm not blaming anybody. I know a lot's going on right now, but people just kind of drop off the radar and they don't get back. And so, it's constantly having to trace that thread back. And a lot of times, like in one place that I contacted, the person that was actually my contact there has left. So the person that took their place was not even aware of what was going on. So, I'm going to continue to try to reach out, and I'm going to continue to try to see what the those places that are ready to go, that are going to actually have some input for us, and that we'd be able to get back to.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it's a very awkward time right now with the trying to make contacts personally and do these presentations. So don't feel pressured right now. We need to get through this current, I should say, wave of COVID and see what the light at the end of the tunnel looks like in the coming months before we start getting out there in front of folks. So no worries. Commissioner Nichols, did you have anything to add on to that? I don't know if you guys had a chance to talk.
Kind of in a similar boat with John. I reached out to a couple of the pastors I know here in town, kind of right before the holiday season, and then we just kind of lost touch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach back out to them, see if they might be interested in having us come out and do a presentation to their their congregants, and go from there. Because I know right now, especially this year with COVID and then the holiday season being what it was this last year with everything, it's easy to kind of lose touch. So I'm going to reach back out and then and see what they say, and if something they feel that they want to go forward on, I'll let you know.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't see any of us, myself included, with my CERT program, my other community programs, getting much traction until we get closer to spring and hopefully see something different emerge, something better emerge. Let's go. It'll always be different, but hopefully something better emerge from that. So thank you. Moving on to the
Can I just add something?
Oh yes, yeah. Go ahead, Jonathan.
In both cases for the organizations, I did gear them towards different websites, so it's not as if it's been a total loss. It's just that they don't want, the two places that I contacted did not want to make a commitment for an in-person meeting yet. But I did drive them to the different websites that we have, and I did, give them some information that they could look up to, for themselves. So it's not a total, it's not like they know and they now have contact information. And I told both places, please reach out to us when you decide you're ready to go. And so I think it's just, like we were both talking about, and it's just, a lot of people are just not really ready to commit to anything yet, but there is interest, is what I'm saying.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so moving on to the multilingual program, I need to clarify something as I was digging into the Listos multilingual program. So the Listos program specifically refers to Spanish, and when I understood the program was multiple languages, despite the fact that Listos means ready in Spanish. So on our commission, we are representing Vietnamese and Chinese speaking outreach. And so I do have an individual that does Spanish speaking. They're just not a commissioner per se. So I want to amend the title of Listos on that and just generally name it multilingual program, and just focus on the fact that at this point in time, we're doing Chinese and Vietnamese through our commission itself. So I'm going to call on Commissioners Gan and Liu to please just give us an updated report on how that program is going.
You want to go first, Evan?
Sure. We're starting to make PowerPoint presentations on the materials from ready.gov. So in the beginning part, we plan just to pick up 2 or 3 programs, since some of the programs are redundant from each other. So we're probably starting from the communication plans, the family communication plans, and make the slides. Might be a joint English and whatever the community's preferred language is. We'll combine it together with interested parties, the business and families together. And we're probably aiming to have a couple of meetings in March. So this material will be ready for review from the OES office maybe sometime early February. That's the plan. Face-to-face or Zoom meeting, I haven't decided. We'll see how this virus COVID situation develops. Because right now we're just confirmed the case that nobody wants to meet in person anyways. So most likely right now we're planning out for Zoom. We'll see how it develops. I prefer it to be face-to-face, but we'll see.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, I kind of just.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. No worries. Yeah, kind of just echoing what unfortunately what all the commissioners had said about turnout and trying to get some community involvement with the programs. We're still struggling with that, but like Evan said, we're trying to shoot for in person around spring. Hopefully things start to get better as far as like COVID and restrictions, but we really want to do this in person if we can. We better chance of turnout and involvement, especially with the multilingual community. Most of them are going to be accessible either through whether it be faith-based communities. We have a couple of churches that are predominantly Vietnamese and Chinese in the city. And I'm probably going to coordinate with you, Han, afterwards, getting in touch with parents and teachers through the school board and see if we get some better involvement there. But like Evan said, we're just preparing the material to present. So once things lift up, we're able to get more out there, more out and about, and just be able to talk to the community about the work plans.
Okay, thank you. Great job, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Moving on to the AFN ADA emergency preparedness. This would be Commissioner or Chair Lian and Vice Chair Ellis.
All right.
And you want to go ahead?
You go ahead.
Okay, sure. So Han and Tony and I had a preliminary meeting to talk about the audience and approach. And then Tony arranged a meeting with Elena Perselli, who is the director, I guess is the appropriate title, for the Rebuild Together Silicon Valley group. And their focus is primarily on assisting low-income owners, renters, and folks who live in mobile homes, because they are probably more our audience for those folks that need assistance. Elena has a number of connections in the city of Milpitas that they work with. So what we're going to do is connect again with her and get those names and then make contact with those people so that we can start developing a program specifically for them. The intent is to develop a trifold brochure that we can leave in various locations, like the rental properties and some of the mobile home areas that we have here, in addition to a presentation. And our thought was that what we might do, since it's difficult to reach a large audience with a presentation, as has been pointed out by a number of people in person, what we're planning to do is schedule these presentations and use Nextdoor to notify people. So, we'll have a presentation, for instance, maybe twice a month. We haven't figured out the frequency yet, but the idea would be to reach a large audience through Nextdoor and then have them attend, guess what, a Zoom meeting where we would go through the presentation. So that's what we've done so far. Han, is there anything you want to add?
Yes, the trifold brochures are going to be in different languages. And for Vietnamese, I will work with Commissioner Liu to make sure that we're on the same information, the same page with reaching out to the same groups. And with Chinese, probably we'll get Commissioner Gang to help.
Okay. I'm not sure what exactly the workload or what's involved, so but we can talk about that later.
Absolutely, offline.
Well, there'll be a lot of overlap in the information you guys are putting out there. So yeah, it won't be a tremendous add-on to the workload.
Yes, and another information that I want to share with the group. Paul and I, the vice chair and I, plan to do presentations at different groups, at different events, like Rotary Club, maybe the Kiwanis, and maybe churches, temples.
We have the Lions as well, Han. You can add that one.
Yes, Lions. Yeah, we're gonna try to reach out, and hopefully we can do this in person soon. Right now, I don't know who's having meetings in person, so we're gonna try to reach out to them.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. And then lastly, and this is just for everybody to participate in, we have collaborate with public safety on community outreach. Don, as of course mentioned that earlier, and that would just be connecting with Captain Torres or Sergeant Speckenhoyer as events, or Officer Mock as things come up. Whoever's available, I'll just put the opportunity out to them, and then whoever's available that can attend that event and represent the group would be able to do so. So I'll put those out as those opportunities come about. Okay.
Usually they're short fused.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, if there's nothing more related to work plans, anyone else got anything to say on that? We can move on otherwise. All right, next topic, Han, back to you.
Next topic is the elections 2022 for chair and vice chair. And I'm going to turn the floor back to you again, Tony.
Okay. So I do have, we had some, there was someone had reached out to me that they were interested in running for chair. So I need to get nominations. I have a nomination for Joe Nichols for chair, but I need to get a second to that. So do I have a second for Joe Nichols as chair?
Second.
Okay. Is there anybody else who's interested in running for chair?
Well,
do a vote. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to nominate Han to run again.
Han, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Okay. And do I have a second on that?
Second.
I'm sorry, who wants to own it?
I'll let Don second. We kind of got it at the same time. Let Don take that one.
I beat him by a few milliseconds.
Okay. Okay, is there anybody else interested in running for chair? At this time, it has to be strictly commissioners. Sorry, Andrew and Ruby, not your time just yet. Okay, so I have Commissioner Nichols running for chair and Commissioner Hahn running for chair. We need to go through a vote. Let me do a roll call. Sorry, everybody's going to be put on blast who their favorite person is. This is the downside to Zoom. I haven't seen it done any other way at this point. So let me.
What you do is you do a poll.
That would be an IT thing.
But the thing is you can't do it after you start the meeting.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Okay. So I'm going to say, I'll go through your names, and it sounds like what I'll just, unfortunately, you'll have to do is just say who your preference is. And I'll just tally for votes on that. Okay. Commissioner Berryhill.
Yes, Joe.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Clendenin.
Han.
Han, okay. Commissioner Ellis.
Han.
Okay. Commissioner Gann.
Han.
Commissioner Nakapala'au.
Go.
Okay. Commissioner Nichols.
You know what? I'm gonna vote for Han.
Oh man. Okay. Han, I don't think I called on you though. Who is your vote for, Han?
Okay, I'll vote for myself.
Okay. If you know what, don't feel bad because there was no tie-breaking vote on this. But Commissioner Nichols, thank you so much for being willing to step up. And thank all of you for going through this extremely awkward process.
Well, we can give him second place. Nice.
I'll send you, I'll send you the second place ribbon. Thank you, Joe, for being willing to step up and do that. I super appreciate it. It's always great to have people get engaged in the process of this. So that being said, is there anyone who would like to nominate themselves or someone else for the vice chair?
Thank you, Joe. I'd like to nominate Vice Chair Ellis again to serve the term.
And do I have a second on that?
Second that.
Who seconded? Oh, Jonathan, thank you. Okay. All right, any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, I will close that out and then I will go through roll call once again to, oops, hold on. I've got 5 different windows open for an agenda and minutes and okay. Commissioner Berryhill?
Yes, Paul.
Okay. Commissioner Clendenin?
Yep, Paul.
Commissioner Ellis?
Abstain.
Oh man.
He has to recuse himself. Conflict of interest.
Commissioner Gann?
Oh.
Commissioner Lien?
Oh.
Commissioner Nakapala'au?
Paul.
Commissioner Nichols?
Paul.
And Commissioner, oh wait, no, sorry, Commissioner Liu, you do not get to vote on this one because you guys are not seated tonight. Okay, well, it's unanimous if anyone was counting. Commissioner Ellis continues on as vice chair. All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. Again, I apologize for the extremely awkward process. Yes, Paul.
Paul has a question.
Yeah, they're in the chat window. Apparently, Captain Torres needs to be upgraded to a panelist. He sent
Yes, he's in
chat.
here. Yeah, we
Okay.
got him. He's in here.
Got it. Okay,
We'll
sorry.
hear from, nope, that's okay. Thank you. That's the job of an excellent vice chair who's paying attention and making sure that all members who are engaged in this process are a part of the party. Thank you. Okay, we will go ahead and go on through the city liaison report. So I'm going to start off with Councilmember Dominguez.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations to those who have been elected. I look forward to working with you. I have a lot. I mean, there has been a lot going on in terms of the safety. At our last council meeting, if you joined us, we talked about just some of the elements that have arisen. The council did approve a business watch that is going to be held on Zoom. So we did request for a business watch to happen in order to address some of the safety concerns that are happening at the Safeway Shopping Center. And so the Milpitas Police Department will be presenting best practices on how to stay safe, the differences between 911, 311, when call, how to report. One of the things that we are finding as an office is that a lot of folks will post things on Nextdoor and Facebook, but they fail to call the police department. And so it's really, really important for us to begin those partnerships with the plaza as well in the management team. And so I'm very thankful for the council for approving that. I think that's a great step in the right direction. We have had a couple of incidents today. And so, you know, definitely if you guys are out there in the community and there are safety concerns that come up to your attention, please email me. I would love to just continue that conversation and that dialogue and look for policies that could help our city really stay safe. And so as we move into 2022 and through the different pandemics and Omicron and God knows what's next, we are experiencing different challenges with that as well. And so in terms of the other PPE and access to testing has been a huge issue in the city of Milpitas. It's a regional issue that we've all been experiencing. So I know I've been working today I was actually on a call with Vice President Kamala Harris. And so I am really excited that, you know, Milpitas is gaining traction and I'm being invited to the table. And so I did express some of my concerns in regards to the testing. Luckily, you know, hopefully every American will have access to testing and PPE because they're starting their mailing service. And so definitely helping the city move that word out and distributing it out through your networks and portals is very, very helpful for us. And of course, you know, we continue the conversations about other safety issues that have continuously arise. So I invite you to stay engaged into our budget meetings. We are having a budget meeting, the start of the budget season next Tuesday for our council meeting. And we are actually meeting, I believe, for like 6 or 7 weeks straight. So I do invite you to be part of those conversations because they really help align the work that this commission has been doing and all the effort that you guys put in as commissioners, right? It definitely, once it gets into the council chambers, it's really important that we continue the engagement and the advocacy because we all need 3 votes to pass our agenda items. And so with that, those are all the updates that I have as your council liaison. Thank you so much for your time and for your service. And I look forward to continuing to work with the chair and the vice chair. Thank you.
One note to that, you know, because you kind of remind me of this. One of the things that they're presenting to the neighborhood watch is even though the police can't do anything about the incident itself, they need the data to say when it occurred, what was, you know, the issue or this, you know, the catalytic converters or something of that nature. Because then they start to focus because they look at it about every 2 weeks to kind of say, okay, over here, there's a lot of X going on during these hours. And then they beef up the patrols in those areas watching for that stuff. Now, the thing is it's probably more of a deterrent with them driving through than them actually catching somebody. Because Moak, he said 1 out of all his career when he's seen somebody doing something illegal.
Right, Don, and I agree with that, Commissioner. One thing too, when you guys are doing your rubrics or hosting these meetings, please invite me. I would love to tag along with you guys. And Tony, if you could please mark that for this year, make sure that my calendar reflects all the neighborhood watches and everything that the partnerships that this commission is doing. I definitely want to be there, not only to support all the work that you guys are doing, but I think it's really, really important for the community to see that we're all working in unison. And you're absolutely right. And that is why, you know, I'm so excited about the Business Watch starting, because some of the elements do overlap and they are very important. And I continue to commend the Milpitas Police Department for their snapshots and all of the marketing that they're doing and keeping our community safe through the holidays. I believe I've heard a lot of community members that we're following your post. And so thank you so much, Chief, for that. It's been awesome to see what you guys have been able to do with the crime prevention component, with the number of resources and staff personnel that you have. So definitely commend you for that work.
Thank you, Councilmember Dominguez, for the report. I'm moving on to the school district's report. On February 5th, we have 2 vaccination clinics scheduled at Weller and Rancho. And schools are now back in person, and independent studies for short-term and long-term is an option for parents and caregivers under the AB 130. If the parents have concerns about the child's health and safety, they can choose to have the child in long-term independent study, but there's an agreement that they need to sign. And I think that's pretty much it for the reports that I have for the school district. And move on to you again, Tony, the OES.
Yes. So for the OES, we actually need to change that to OEM report. But the OEM report, at this time, the CERT program, of course, still on hold. I continue to do outreach on a regular basis with the CERT members that they're continuing to do Zoom type trainings, whether it be through the state of California's our representative, or be through other agencies or PG&E, et cetera, that do put on educational training courses. So our CERT program is still engaged, but obviously without the in-person feature, it's been challenging, of course. Second, I will refer over to Paul for the RACES update.
Okay, I'll make this brief. Don't have a lot to talk about. I'm in the process of pulling together the report card for 2021 for, you know, our accomplishment and contribution and that sort of thing. But what I can share with this group is that in 2021, the Milpitas Areas RACES group put together 550 hours of training, events, drills, and things like that during the course of the year. And that's actually pretty impressive, considering that was done essentially with about 10 people. We have 20 people in the group, about 10 of which are active, frankly. So I'm very pleased with that. And the consistency of participation has been great. Moving on to this year, there are a couple of things that we need to focus on, and Chief Maloon, you may be able to help us out with one of these. And the biggest one is we really need to get the new comm van in service. You know, I think the white van was kind of driven off a cliff or put in storage or whatever we did with it, but we haven't been able to take over the red van yet. So, you know, we need to get the PO approved for Spartan Engineering so that we can move the radios from the white van to the red van and get that equipped and operational. We also have some other issues to work, but I won't get into that minutia now. It's more appropriate for us to work offline. The other things that we want to focus on this year is, you know, I mentioned we have about 20 members, only about half of which are active. So, you know, I want to try and get the band back together. We have a number of members who at one point in time were active but have gone inactive. So we need to do some outreach to them to see if we can get them to re-engage, and then just grow the group, you know, organically with new people that earn their ham operator license. And then the other big thing that we want to do once we can all get out and start meeting together again is do some additional interlock with the CERT teams. So that's kind of what our focus will be in 2022.
Thank you.
Hey, real fast, real fast on. Hey, Paul, before you go tonight, there is something that along the lines of Aries races that I wanted to talk to you about before, but we can do that offline after everyone else signs off, just before you go tonight.
Okay, cool.
Any other updates from anyone?
Yeah, so no further updates for Office of Emergency Management other than city facilities. I think Chief Mullen, maybe you can speak to this as we go into the fire report. City facilities, I think, are closed right now to the public through the end of January, if I understand that correctly, just due to the increasing Omicron numbers.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, and go ahead, Chief. You can move on to the fire report.
Yeah, okay. So fire department, we have a, well, since beginning on the 12th of January, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've had 11 cases in the fire department, positive tests, which has created some difficulties, but the new quarantine guidelines have made things a little bit easier. So we only have people off for 5 days now because we're mostly fully vaccinated. And if we can test negative, they can test back into full duty after 5 days rather than the 10 and earlier than that, the 14 days. So we haven't run into any significant staffing shortages at this time. And since it's already run through so many people, we're anticipating that's going to taper off here soon. So, but it has been a challenging couple of weeks for us as far as the pandemic is concerned. And then, of course, just like everybody else, getting our hands, especially on the rapid tests, which is what we need to give people to get them back on duty, has been a challenge. But I do now have about 135 of them sitting next to me. So we kind of lucked out there. It helps to have some connections. So let's see, we have a new fire engine on order. We have 2 new Type 5 wildland fire engines that are expected to be delivered in April. The new rebuilt Fire Station 2 on the corner of Yosemite and Park Victoria is still on schedule to open in June, although the builder did warn us the other day that they've had a pretty significant outbreak among their workers, and that might slow things down, but they don't anticipate a huge slowdown, maybe just a couple of weeks of delay on the new Fire Station 2. So we'll see how that goes. We have a fire academy with 8 new fire recruits, and that starts on February 14th. So we're kind of excited to get those guys on board and get them working toward finishing their academy. It's scheduled to finish on July the 8th, and we're doing that as a joint effort with the city of Palo Alto. And Palo Alto is going to have 9 fire recruits in that academy, so we should have 17, which is a fairly large what we call a JFA or Joint Fire Academy for us. So, but I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. Courtney Anderson is the administrative captain that works under me, and Courtney's been out with COVID as well, and he should be back next week, and he'll follow up on that PO that has been filed. And once we get that PO back, we should be able to move forward with getting that work done by Spartan Engineering, but that is in process.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. I think that's really all I have for fire, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions for Chief Mullen?
Oh, I did forget one thing. In case anybody didn't know, Deputy Chief Rick Frawley retired at the end of 2021. Deputy Chief and Fire Marshal Albert Zamora has announced his retirement, and that'll be effective in June. And Battalion Chief and Deputy Fire Marshal Jaime Garcia also retired at the end of December. So we've had some pretty high level retirements, and we anticipate some movement in the fire administrative side of things. One of the battalion chiefs will probably moving up to fill the deputy chief role, and we are going to be doing a battalion chief promotional, and that person will likely replace me because I'll probably be moving back to the line. So that's probably who you'll see, whoever gets promoted to battalion chief coming in March, April. So probably your next meeting, I'll be here. And then after that, I'll be back on the line and you'll meet somebody new. So that's all I have.
Thank you. So you got 3 retirements and then you have 8 new recruits, huh?
Yeah, it's we're
I thought station 2 is going to was shooting for April. Is now moved to June, or was I wrong on the dates?
So I think originally April was our goal, but I believe the contract allowed them until June, and because of COVID and losing workers over the last year while they've been doing the construction, I think it's slowed things down a little bit. So, but not too much. We're not that far behind.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah, they've got most of the outside on that as far as just the insulation and stuff.
Yeah.
So next thing will be to put up the stucco or whatever.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief, for the reports. Okay, we're moving on to law report. Captain Torrey?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Hey, thank you for your time. Let's see. Police department has continued to be busy over the last couple months with the holidays and even moving into the new year here. As I think someone mentioned, I think it was Dawn mentioned earlier, we have done a few, it looks like we did about 7 different either HOA or neighborhood watch type of meetings, some of which some of the commissioners had taken part in. And that was between November and December. We're still continuing our outreach to the HOAs and neighborhood watches to just check in to see if there's anything neighborhood-wise that they're interested in, or if they're interested in any particular presentation. And again, we're appreciative of our partnership with this commission, so that we, we'll continue to send those invites when those are set up your way as well, so that if you have the time and want to partake in them, you're more than welcome to. Just wanted to throw out there, though, with the current COVID status, we are not doing really too much by way of in-person community engagement events in January. And I realize we're almost close to the end of the month. So hopefully, as things kind of settle a little bit, if they do, then we'll start picking up and looking at additional events, maybe late February, I'd say, or early March. But again, we just have to play it by ear with that. So we're just right now, a lot of what our community relations unit is doing is prepping for upcoming events or brainstorming for different ideas, or even going back to the drawing board for some of the things that we were doing virtually with some of the schools and other organizations in that sense. There was I'm sure you saw it on the news, a hostage incident in Texas about 5 days ago at a synagogue. And in light of that, we proactively reached out to all of our religious institutions starting on Monday and finished up today, just to kind of check in to see if there was anything that they needed. And it's not anything that we haven't done in the past. We just kind of moved up our check-in with them because of that, just to make sure that they weren't feeling any stress or uneasiness about that incident, because it did get such wide coverage, even though it happened in a different state. And most, if not all, the groups that we were able to contact, felt comfortable with their institution within the city, and just basically thanked us for what we were doing. But we continue that on a regular basis of reaching out again, in talking to religious institutions, homeowners associations, neighborhood watches, reaching out to certain businesses to see if they need anything from us. On the personnel front, we just swore in early January 2 new recruits. One was from San Bruno, and then the other was from San Jose State. So those are what we call lateral police officers, meaning they don't have to go to the police academy. They would basically just jump right into, after an in-house training, they would jump into the field training program. So they're out, they finished their in-house training and they're actually out on the street now working with their field training officers. And then hopefully, I believe it's like 12 weeks, they should be ready to go as solo beat officers out on the street. We have another person graduating from the Alameda County Sheriff's Office Academy February 4th. So they'll add one more person. And then I believe we have 2 more coming out of our Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office Academy in April. So, within the first 4 months of this year, you'll see, what's that, 5 new officers out on the street. Someone had mentioned earlier about trying to contact some religious institutions and looking for people that were interested in volunteering. I will kind of throw out there that the chief and I had, Chief Hernandez and I, right before Christmas Eve, were invited out to the BAPS on California Circle. And they gave us a tour of their facility. We met 2 of the Swamis that were there. And the sense that I got from them, and even with talking to them, is that they have a community there that is very much into volunteerism. So that might be a resource that you can tap into. And if you want to email myself or the chief or Sergeant Speckenhauer from our community relations unit, we might be able to put you into contact with someone over there. But they're very eager to help out in the community in whatever way that they can, and they're just looking for the opportunities there. So that might be something worthwhile for all of you if you're looking in that direction. Recently, we were awarded through the SHUSH-GAP, which is a Homeland Security terrorism grant, or anti-terrorism grant, through the county. We'll be awarded some money for a tether for one of our unmanned aerial systems, one of our drones, which will enable us to fly for a longer period of time from a fixed location without having to bring it down for battery swaps or anything like that. So there is a process for the purchasing of that, and the timeline I don't know exactly, but it will be something that will happen in the future, and that will be a tremendous help in enhancing our current drone program. Let's see, the council member had mentioned some things about our social media, and I appreciate her recognition for the efforts that the Police Community Relations Unit has been making. Those guys are doing amazing work on top of their regular workload by putting out information and putting together events. So publicly, I'd like to thank them along with the rest of our staff for the work that they're doing, especially during these times right now. It's definitely stressful with COVID, and then stressful with the workload that they have. So, I want to thank everybody there. And I think probably talk longer than you needed me to, but that's it, unless anyone has any questions that I can answer or anything like that.
Actually, I do, Captain Torres. If we live in a neighborhood that would be interested in starting a neighborhood watch, I live in the Friendly Village Mobile Home Park over off of Dixon Landing, and I've had a couple of the neighbors approach me about that. Would we reach out to you, or would it be better if we reach out to Sergeant Speckenhoyer, or kind of both of you guys in tandem? Or
so the Police Community Relations Unit is within my division, but and I'm more than happy to talk to you or take an email from you. But ultimately, I'd end up forwarding that over to him, and then Officer Mock, who some of you have met, or Officer Sefi, who some of you have met, would be one of the ones that would reach out and kind of get some more information about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then also seeing if there is actually one already established in the area that maybe is just, I don't know, for lack of a better word, needs to be revitalized or kind of rebranded, or whatever the popular phrase is now for just getting it back up and running. But yeah, if you want to send me an email, that'll be kind of the process. I'll put you in touch with the right person, and we can definitely get that up and going for you. Oh, and sorry, one last thing that since you touched on Neighborhood Watch, we launched the Paws on Patrol, which is kind of a subset of our Neighborhood Watch for the people that are out walking their dogs and their animals. So look to our social media in the next, I'd say the next week or so, for some more announcements about that, and trying to get some additional people in there and fire that up a little bit more as well. And then hopefully with an event catered towards that, maybe shooting out towards spring or summer. So.
Any other comments or questions for Captain Torres?
Yes, I had a quick question also.
Go ahead.
Yes, I remember there was a report or discussion about license plate readers at strategic places in and out of the city. Can you give us any updates on that?
So we currently have 35 license plate readers within the city of Milpitas. All of those are up and running, and those have all been very, very productive. They, without droning on too much about it, they're productive in the sense of they're alerting us to vehicles that are coming into the city that have certain wants on them, whether they're felony vehicles, carjacking vehicles, homicide vehicles, or stolen vehicles, and that allows our officers to take up positions and try to, in effect, a safe stop and take the persons into custody. Because our thought is if we can get to them before they come into the city, perhaps we can prevent some type of crime occurring that may victimize our community. The other aspect of that is on for an investigative purpose, where I believe perhaps it was Dawn and the council member Dominguez talking about the reporting of crimes to us, is that when people give us information, sometimes with partial license plates and things like that, and we have a certain area that we can look at, we might be able to use the license plate reader technology to help us find those vehicles. And it opens up a new door for an investigative lead that perhaps we didn't have. So it's really a team effort when we're trying to solve crimes with people that report information that may be minuscule and may not be much to them. But if we have a couple people put those pieces together, along with some of the technology we have and some of the great work that's being done by the detectives and the officers out in the field, that's how we end up making cases. And that's how, as a team, with the community and the police department, we're able to solve some of these crimes or, address some of the crime trends that arise.
Yeah, because if they give a partial and then let's say the color, maybe the make of the car, the odds kind of shrink as to it's more like that one than anything else, because what's in the city, from that, from your readers.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's a lot of the reason why during investigations, we'll canvass areas too for video, for asking people for their Ring video if they want to share it with us, or their home security cameras. Because again, it kind of creates a chain to see a suspect's movement through a neighborhood or a commercial area. And again, we're just hoping that those pieces, once put together, you have the whole puzzle. But without that help, it makes it a little bit difficult. But we are appreciative of the help that the community does give us, because without them, some of these things wouldn't be solved.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for the update. Sounds great.
We have a raised hand by, hang on one second, Mr. Urvish Kumar Mehta. I'm going to, hello, I'm just talk. Hi, Mr. Mehta.
Yes, thank you very much
Hi, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to thank Chair, Vice Chair, respective Commissioner with regards to the Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Commission, and as well as the consideration of comments. I wanted to mention about the FAMAS program with the flood management, and as well as the ongoing development within the city of Milpitas. As the commission who has been employed to enable the program for the community and as well as the public safety and emergency preparedness. While back in 2019, there was a conversation to enable the neighborhood watch program as well as the ICS, the incident response training, as well as the enabling the emergency radio services through the HAM radio services was suggested. However, then afterwards, since due to the pandemic situation, some of the programs were made distance learning and over the meeting due to the following the guidelines of COVID-19. As now, proceeding 2022, it would become even more important that now, since all the commission activities, they are still, being conducted via virtually, it would be important that to note that the commission is required to be registered to the Federal Election Commission and as well as the California Fair Political Practice Commission, such that any funding that is to be assigned for any part of the event, any community development programs, funding that is been received from the city, county, or state resources or grant programs, that is to be enabled through the commission, and as well as each and every respective commissioners are required to report through that funding that how they are being a part of the commission and working through the agencies within city, county, states jurisdiction. It is equally important that while the while the FEMA developed program that is being enabled, the youth participation would become equally important at the city level as well. With the FEMA's flood prevention program, as well as the disaster management programs and a preparedness training, the city would be able to allow the youth to participate at different levels and represent the youth to a different allow the representation of a youth as a city representation to the different agencies. It is equally important to mention that all the enablement of a program to the law enforcement agency would allow with the inclusion of the plans within the four development plans: the general master plan, the Milpitas Metro plan, the task plan, and the technology plan, that is to be updated with the Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Commission. Thank you very much for the consideration of comments.
Thank you.
One of the things too I'd mentioned at the neighborhood watch meetings were, that we're looking to start like the CERT program and the mapping neighborhood program and things like that, probably in the springtime. That's still kind of a little soft right now, but that's one of the things I brought up when I talked about the stuff.
Any other comments or questions after Captain Torres' presentation or reports? If not, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the commissioners for your support and for allowing me to have another term as chair to work with Vice Chair Ellis. We do have work to do, and I'm looking forward to working closely with each and every one of you, especially Andrew Liu, on creating this Vietnamese trifle brochures to the Vietnamese communities. And Commissioner Gang, I'm looking forward to getting your help on the Chinese version there too.
Looking forward to it.
All right. And Joe, thank you. If there's no other comments, I do need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Before we do that, I'd just like to make a comment. Joe, we probably should have a conversation. Just give my cell phone a call, because this meeting is being recorded and they'll shut it down as soon as we're finished. So let's just talk on the phone. And with that, I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ruby, for joining us at this meeting.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Tony, thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good night,
everyone.
Aye.
Take care, guys.